I want you to think about the last time someone accused you of something. Didn't matter if it was big or small. Maybe it was a partner saying you don't care enough. Maybe it was a coworker implying you dropped the ball. Maybe it was just a look, a raised eyebrow, from someone who had no right to judge you. And I want you to remember what you did next. You explained yourself, didn't you? You pulled out the evidence. You gave context. You went back through the timeline like a lawyer building a case for a jury that had already made up its mind. And here's the brutal part. It didn't work. It never works. And somewhere in your gut, you knew it wasn't going to work before you even opened your mouth. So why did you do it? That's what we're getting into today. And I promise you, by the end of this, you will never look at that moment the same way again. Welcome back to Machiavellian Mind. My name is Joe, and if this is your first time here, this channel exists for one reason: to hand you the map that nobody gave you. The map of how power, influence, and human psychology actually work, not how we were told they work. Today's topic sits at the center of everything I believe about real strength. It's not about being cold. It's not about being heartless. It's actually one of the most deeply human things I've ever had to work through myself. It's about the compulsion to explain yourself. That desperate itch to make people understand you, to correct the record, to prove that you are good, capable, reasonable, whatever the situation demands. Most of us have been doing this our entire lives without realizing that every single time we do it, we hand over a piece of our power. Machiavelli understood this, not because he was a monster, but because he was honest about how the social world actually operates. He watched intelligent people lose everything simply because they cared too much about what the wrong people thought. That was 500 years ago. Nothing has changed. Today, I'm going to break down the psychology behind why we explain, what it costs us, and how to build the kind of internal structure where you simply don't need to anymore. Let's go. Here's something I want you to sit with for a second. You were not born with the need to explain yourself. A 2-year-old doesn't explain. They scream, they laugh, they take the toy and run. They have zero interest in your opinion of their choices. So when did it start? It started the moment you figured out that the big people in your life had the power to punish or reward you, and that the way you stayed safe was by convincing them you were good. I didn't break it. It just fell. I didn't hit him. He started it. It wasn't my fault. You learned that explanation was the price of safety. Explanation was how you got out of trouble. And if you explained well enough, clearly enough, the authority figure would decide in your favor, and you could breathe again. That is a completely logical survival strategy for a 7-year-old. The problem is, most of us never updated the program. So we walk around as grown adults with careers and responsibilities and real power, still running 7-year-old software, still treating every person who challenges us like they have the authority to punish or release us. Your boss raises an eyebrow, and you feel like you're back in 3rd grade. Your partner questions your decision, and you launch into a defense. A stranger online writes a critical comment, and you spend 40 minutes composing a reply to someone you will never meet. Why? Because buried underneath the adult behavior is that original equation. If I explain well enough, I will be safe. Machiavelli had no patience for this, and neither should you, because here's the thing nobody tells you about explanation. Asterix, the moment you explain yourself, you have implicitly accepted that the other person has the right to judge you. Asterix, you have accepted the role of defendant. And defendants, even innocent ones, always look desperate. Desperation is the enemy of power. I want you to imagine 2 different people walking into the same accusation. Same words thrown at both of them. You're being incredibly selfish right now. Person 1 hears that, and they feel the heat rise. Their chest tightens. They immediately start listing their evidence. Selfish? I drove you to the airport last Tuesday. I stayed late at work so you could have the weekend off. Person 2 hears it. They hold eye contact. Their face stays completely still. They don't say a single word. Now, who do you respect more in this moment? Who looks like they actually believe in themselves? It's not even close. And here's the psychology behind why. When you defend yourself, you are broadcasting a signal. That signal says, your opinion of me is a threat to my sense of self. That is the most intimate kind of vulnerability there is. You've just told them exactly where the nerve is. And people, whether they're conscious of it or not, will keep pressing that nerve. I'm not saying people are all manipulative predators. Most of them are just operating on instinct. But instinct is real, and the instinct that detects weakness and unconsciously exploits it, that's deeply wired in us. When someone sees that their words can move you, they keep using those words. But when you don't react, when the accusation just lands and nothing happens, they get uncomfortable, because now the thing they threw didn't go anywhere. It's just sitting there. And slowly, subtly, they start to wonder if maybe they were wrong to throw it. Your non-reaction becomes a mirror. They look into it and they see their own aggression reflected back. And that is deeply, deeply unsettling. Silence is not nothing. Silence is a statement. It says, I don't need this conversation to go a certain way. I don't need you to understand me. I am fine either way. That kind of steadiness is magnetic. People don't even know why they're drawn to it. But they are. Always. Okay. So we know why we explain. We know what it costs us. Now I want to give you the actual tools. There are 3 moves, and they build on each other. Move 1, the hold. This is the foundation. Everything else falls apart without it. When the accusation comes, you stop. You don't react immediately. You don't rush to fill the silence. You hold it. 3 seconds minimum. 5 if you can manage it. Now let me tell you what that silence is doing that you can't see. The human brain, in a conflict situation, is wired to treat silence as danger. It's a social rupture. Something is wrong. Something needs to be fixed. And the brain's solution is to talk. When you hold silence, you are forcing the other person's brain to do the work. Their anxiety spikes. They start narrating. They start filling in blanks that you never gave them. Why aren't you saying anything? Are you that upset? I mean, I didn't mean it exactly like that. They are now defending themselves against your silence. The power has transferred without you saying a single word. Now, I'm not going to pretend this is easy. Sitting in that silence when everything in you is screaming to respond, that is genuinely hard work. But it is the most important muscle you will ever build. The hold. 3 seconds. 5 if you're ready. Let it breathe. Move 2. Agree and reframe. Sometimes silence isn't enough. Sometimes the situation needs words. And when it does, you never push back against the force. You flow with it. This comes from a principle in Aikido. You don't meet force with force. You redirect it. There's a specific technique for this called agree and amplify. Here's how it works. Someone says, "You're so obsessed with money. You're greedy." Old response, "I'm not greedy. I'm just trying to build security for my family. Do you know how much rent has gone up? Do you have any idea?" And now you're just explaining, losing, begging. Machiavellian response, "You're right. I'm actually building a vault under my house. Very Roman Empire of me. It's coming along nicely." Flat face, maybe the faintest trace of a smile. Then you move on. What just happened? You refused to be wounded by the accusation. You treated it like it was too small to take seriously. You turned their weapon into a prop in your comedy. You became the one setting the emotional temperature in the room. This isn't about being funny. It's about signaling that you are so secure in your own identity that their words don't even land. They just bounce off into the air and disappear. And that, more than any clever comeback, is what makes someone seem genuinely powerful. Move 3. Flip the lens. This one is surgical. When someone questions you, they are implicitly positioning themselves as the judge. And as we've established, whoever is asking the questions holds the frame. So you don't answer. You redirect. Why are you always so disorganized? Defensive you. I'm not disorganized. I've been dealing with 3 different projects simultaneously, and nobody gave me clear deadlines. And Machiavellian you, what is it about my process that bothers you so much? Now we're not talking about you anymore. We're talking about them. We're talking about why this matters so deeply to them, why they feel the need to police your behavior. You walked around the question and aimed a different question right back. This is not aggression. It's not confrontational. Said calmly, with genuine curiosity, it is incredibly disarming. Because suddenly the person who came to put you on trial is being asked to examine their own motives. And most people, when asked to do that, immediately becomes self-conscious. The lens flips, and you never had to defend a thing. I want to be real with you for a second. These techniques are real. They work. But if you walk away from this video thinking it's just a set of verbal tricks, you will fail at them. Badly. Because here's the truth. The reason their words hurt you is because the wound already exists. If someone told you that you have blue eyes when your eyes are brown, you would not feel defensive. You would be confused, maybe slightly amused. You would not lie awake that night replaying it. But if someone calls you a failure and you feel that old heat rise in your chest, that's not just their words. That is your own fear, sitting under the surface, getting pressed. The accusation activated something already there, and no amount of verbal strategy will fully protect you from that until you do the harder work of actually looking at it. What are the things that, if someone said them to you, would make you snap, would make you desperate to defend? Those are your edges. Those are the places where you haven't fully owned yourself yet. I'm not saying you have to agree with every criticism leveled at you. Most of it is projection anyway. But the difference between a person who can let it pass and a person who cannot is not technique. It's integration. It's having sat with the uncomfortable parts of your own character long enough that they can't be weaponized against you anymore. You know you can be selfish sometimes. Own it. Nobody can shame you with it then. You know you've made mistakes? Hold them yourself. They can't be used as ammunition if you're already carrying them openly. When a person has truly accepted themselves, the full picture, not just the flattering parts, they become almost impossible to wound. You cannot shame someone who has nothing left to hide. That is not coldness. That is a depth of self-knowledge that most people will never reach. And it is the actual foundation that makes every other technique in this video work. I want to leave you with a challenge. 7 days, no defense, not a technique, not a performance, a genuine experiment. For the next 7 days, no matter what accusation lands, no matter how unfair, no matter how small, you are not allowed to explain yourself. If you're late, I'm late. Full stop. If someone misunderstands you, let them misunderstand you. If someone calls you something you're not, let the words land and let them pass. Sit in the fire of that discomfort. Feel the itch to fix it, to manage their perception, to make sure they see the real you, and let that itch go unanswered. What you will notice, and this is the part people never expect, is that most of the time, nothing bad happens. The person moves on. The moment passes. The thing you were so desperate to correct corrects itself without your involvement. And slowly, you start to realize how much of your energy you have been burning. Your good energy, your creative energy, your focus. Just managing other people's opinions of you. When you stop doing that, something comes back. Clarity, a kind of quiet confidence, a sense that you are operating from your own ground instead of constantly scrambling to hold the ground someone else is trying to take from you. That is what Machiavelli was pointing at. Not manipulation, not ruthlessness for its own sake. Sovereignty, the unshakable knowledge that your worth does not depend on their verdict. That is what we are building here, on this channel, one video at a time. If this hit something in you, if some part of this landed in a place that feels true and a little uncomfortable, that's exactly why you should subscribe. Not because I'm asking you to, but because you are tired of performing for a crowd that wasn't paying that close attention anyway. I'll see you in the next one.